everybody, welcome back. We're wearing the same outfit.
Oh,
I just realized that. You can't see, but below we're both wearing black jeans and Blundstones. How funny. That was not on purpose at all, but now we will say that our current obsession is matching. Willie loves a couple's costume.
Don't I? Let's name all the couples costumes we've done.
Let's name the one that I mostly want to do, which is when I went back to visit my family, this was not even the most recent time, I don't know, one of the times. My mom always has stuff for me to go through from my childhood, and one of them was my brownies vest. I was a Girl Scout through most of the things, I don't know what the word is.
The Halloweens.
But no, I wasn't a Girl Scout for Halloween ever. I was a Girl Scout through most of the phases of Girl Scouting, whatever the different ranks are or whatever.
Gotcha.
But brownie, I was the most adorned. My vest was the most adorned. So I brought that back because Willie is a very proud Eagle Scout.
Wrong hand, but she's close.
And so I thought it would be really funny if we were that. But he doesn't have a costume, so we'd have to make that. But he's not about it. Anyways, I digress. This has nothing to do with anything.
But hey, we've got our obsession.
We've got our obsession, and we are really matching. Anyways, he did get dressed first, to be fair. So, but I didn't think about it.
Not like we were paying attention.
Anyways.
What we were paying attention to this week
was Levi's sermon. As we do every week, we pay very close attention because that's what we're paid to do here.
Yeah, he was speaking on
love.
I would
Not
say
that kind of
more
love.
specifically a certain letter that a certain someone wrote to the church in Thessalonica.
Or is it Thessaloniki?
Yeah, small typo. Minor details. Nonetheless, that church in Thessalonica was such a great example of doing it right, as Levi pointed out many times. And
he also was sharing lots of church secrets, I feel like, at the beginning there. He was dropping some bombs.
Sharing secrets.
Sorry, they weren't secrets.
Pointing out little known facts.
Yes.
That are important to know, that appearances can be deceiving, and it's important not to judge.
Also that because Christians have a tendency a lot of times to be humble, we as a church staff realize that as a collective of us knowing people, I would say as a church staff we hopefully know all the people combined, like if you were to add us all together.
That's a goal.
And I feel like it's kind of one of the unspoken responsibilities of a church staff is to be sharing what others are doing because others are not willing always to share. Like, hey, I'm doing this really great thing that's really hard to serve Jesus. You know, that's not typically conversations that Christians have. Or like, hey, I tithe a lot. Like, that's just not something that gets brought up. But that was not the main point of Levi's sermon. Those were just kind of examples of within our congregation. There she goes.
Of how to love people well, and how sometimes it can be easy to love people who are easy to love in the very surface level ways that we're all apt to do. But how challenging it can be to love people who don't want to be loved, who you don't want to love. The list goes on. And
I was playing devil's advocate in the car on the way here while we were talking about what we were going to talk about. And I was saying that I think one of the things that Levi didn't bring up, but I think a lot of people also, specifically myself, struggle with, is not only the loving people that are hard to love, but loving people in the way that is hard. Because I think as Christians, we want to do all of the happy, easy loving. Like the kind where it's just like, oh, you just had a baby, let me bring you a meal. Or, oh, you need some money, like I have some extra money, let me help you out. Which to some that may be easier than to others. Vice versa, all those things. If you don't like cooking, that might not be easy to you.
But at the end of the day, there's a big part of being a brother or sister in Christ that is holding someone to a higher standard than the rest of the world is going to do so. And that holding them to that standard part means calling them out, means being accountability to them in whatever situation that they are falling short in.
Which is generally not fun.
No.
I would say that I probably find it, I would not say fun is the word to describe it, but I find it easier than some other people, I think. Like my personality lends itself, I would say between the two of us, I find it easier than Willie finds it. Because I really generally don't mind confrontation and it really doesn't bother me that much.
And it challenges me.
Yes. And so I think there are obviously, and sometimes I find it hard to love in the other ways because I go too hard in that direction of like, I think loving is being honest. And I think it is important to note that this honesty and this type of loving can be taken in a really poor direction, in a way that I don't think that Jesus intended it to be taken, and also in a way that like we shouldn't be doing because we aren't Jesus. And that is like, I'm talking about the like type of thing where you're calling people out on things, for one, that either aren't Christians, that aren't subscribing to this lifestyle. I think that generally really doesn't help anything, to try to call someone out on their sin if they don't believe in sin.
Exactly.
Really doesn't do anything.
Or it comes down to being driven by the wrong motivation. If your hubris is coming into play when you're calling people out, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yes. And also, I think that it can be challenging when you don't have a lot of relational equity with a person. And I also don't think that that is what we're called to do. I think we naturally get close with people because of certain things. That's the way that God has intertwined our communities and the way that we exist as humans.
Right.
And so I am not called to call everybody out. I am not called to say the truth in love to every single person that I know. It's only certain people, and that is where it can be hard trying to figure out what that is, how that is. And so I would encourage you this week, if like my struggle is not necessarily loving the people that are hard, it's loving people in the hard way. If you're wondering how to do that, or you're struggling in a situation, I would ask some other believers around you. That's typically what I do when I'm like, okay, I saw this thing and I feel like that wasn't good. Like, I feel like something needs to be said, or this is a pattern that I'm seeing. And I always will just I'll ask a couple people. I usually ask Willie. I usually ask my sister. Sometimes I ask Levi, like depending on who it is, and try not to pick someone that's super personally attached to the situation, so that there can be a little bit of objectivity. And so that's what I would encourage you to do this week.
Yeah, and be in prayer, because so often God's going to reveal the direction that you should go, not just through that prayer, but through those conversations with other people. And a situation that might seem perilous and impossible will quickly become very, very achievable and much less scary. Yes, so love the people that are hard to love and love people in the hard way. That's all we have for you. See you later.